I've got to show you this amazing new feature inside Photoshop CS5 called Puppet Warp, and I think you're gonna really get a kick out of this guy. So let me explain here, just before I really get rolling here. What I did is I hit F12 one more time on our mad scientist to remove all of the filters and so on that you and I had applied. Now, you know, to get your Puppet Warp to work properly, what you need is an object isolated on its own layer. And you know, it doesn't have to be a cartoon. It doesn't have to be a cartoon mad scientist. It can be anything. It can be a car, it could be some vines, it could be some trees, whatever you want. And that's why we spent so much time talking about masking earlier on and creating perfect selections, because you want to be able to pull objects off their background. So once again, my mad scientist is isolated on his own layer. He's sitting all by himself on this layer 1. I'm going to make sure that layer 1 is selected there. And then to actually initiate this new feature called Puppet Warp, what I'm going to do is head up to the Edit menu and then down to Puppet Warp, I guess about halfway down. Perfect. Now, what we can do here is we can start adding pins onto our artwork, and we can actually start warping our image, warping our artwork. Now, you know, if you have a mesh over top of your image right now, you can always uncheck Show Mesh up on the options bar there. I usually turn mine off. I find it a little bit distracting there. And you can still use your Puppet Warp if you don't have a mesh, which is great. So here's what I'm going to do. This is literally like sticking push pins into your artwork. So I'm going to stick a push pin right through the top of this guy's head, right there, just by single clicking there. And let's see, I'm going to stick one through his left eye, not to be morbid, but, or the right side of our artwork anyway. And then through his ear there. I'm just really setting almost like anchor points inside the image. And I'm going to put one on his elbow, down towards the bottom left there. And then I'm going to put one right on the end of the needle, somewhere up here. Okay, great. Now for the fun part. Now that we've plotted out some points here, what I can start doing literally is dragging on these points to start warping my object, warping my artwork. So maybe I want to have his head sort of a little more, you know, skinny and kind of scrunched up, or maybe I want to, you know, kind of pull the top of his head in, something like this, or pull the right side of his head out a little bit more, something like that, which I think looks hilarious. I think that's awesome. Or I could, you know, grab his elbow and literally just have fun with this, right? And go crazy and see what kind of an effect you can pull off. It's lots and lots of fun here. And what's great is while I'm messing around here, this entire object that sits all by himself on his own layer is completely editable, and it's a whole lot of fun to sort of mess around with this. I'll grab the end of his needle here and I'll kind of pull it in. I'll kind of bend the end of the needle here. And you know, if I want more anchor points, I can just continue clicking on my artwork, something like this. There we go, maybe something like that, or I could add more down, you know, down on his body there, or at the bottom of his coat. Again, really, whatever it is that I want here. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sure you're going to spend hours having fun messing around with your artwork. Now, you know, once you've had fun and you've made a royal mess out of your art, all you need to do now is just go back to your Move tool inside your toolbox, grab that fella, and you're going to get a warning here. Hey, do you want to apply this Puppet Warp? Now, if you say don't apply, you're going to lose all your changes. But if I click apply, then Photoshop actually applies the Puppet Warp, applies my changes to my mad scientist cartoon.